War. War never changes.
And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to War Never Changes, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Jim, one half of the dynamic duo. Over there in a really cool orange shirt, rocking out with some interesting sign language, is my main man, 50 cal, Phil McCracken. What is
What's
that?
up? Turtle. It's sign language for turtle.
Do that again? Wow, I didn't know that was sign language for a turtle. We learn something new every day. And today we have a lot, well, I wouldn't say we have a lot to talk about. My goal at the end of today's show is to get through the day because I can't speak for you, but I have had a really long day. But I wanted to record with you because it's tradition and because I missed your beautiful face. Now, no one, I'm almost to the point, I want to point this out. I'm almost to the point where my beard completely covers the opening of my shirt. I'm really close. And if I do this, you wouldn't know if my top button is done or not.
In other unimportant news,
So it was kind of a slow news week, but there was a couple things that we talked a little bit about last week that have kind of developed into this week, and I thought this would be a good place to start. I have been seeing a lot more news about the Xbox Series S slash X review units, and they're starting to slowly release more information. The handful of streamers, we were not included, by the way, which is a total travesty. I don't know what was going on there. That was just a shame. But a lot of reviewers are starting to trickle out a little bit more. We're kind of starting to pick through a little bit more of the weeds, the scraps, seeing a little bit more. We talked about the metrics last week in terms of loading times and the up resolution of HDR and all these wonderful things. But some other news has started to come out. The big one this week is the overheating issue. Have you heard about this, sir?
no.
Well, I am glad you are informed because thanks everyone. See you next. No. Okay. So what's happening is this is kind of interesting actually. A lot of people are in, because there's still a lot of this review embargo stuff going on. They are announcing, subtly through Twitter, Reddit, everything, that the Xbox Series X runs insanely hot to the touch, grilled cheese hot. Like you could burn a man with this thing.
We're getting hot.
So take off. Oh, sorry. Sorry, wrong song.
Two different songs. Two
Whoa,
different
whoa, whoa,
songs.
whoa, 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 whoa. Sorry. This is the Disney version of the show. Yeah, so, as a computer nerd who knows a lot about computers and nerds as such, I gotta say that, this bothers me a little bit only because I know how much heat totally shredded my poor Xbox 360. Actually, three of my Xbox 360s were victim to the red ring of death, definitely related to overheating. Um, that's where I get a little concerned with this. Obviously, things run hot, computers run hot, you have fans to blow it out. But if it's hot to the touch, that means it's not doing its job.
I agree. Were they taking any infrared temperature tests? Like, did anyone shoot any of those little guns at it?
Nothing that I've seen yet. I That was one of my first thoughts was I know we can get an actual temperature of this. I would love to see it, but no, they haven't revealed that yet. And that kind of goes to this review thing where they're talking about stuff, but they're not.
How hot is it?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying that these things are going to fall apart. I mean, I still don't really understand honestly the logistics that went into why the 360 was so bad in terms of its original build quality. Considering they had the Xbox original to kind of figure it out. it was kind of odd to me that it was the second iteration where they kind of screwed the pooch on the heat cycle. Although you could argue PlayStation 4 isn't much better because that thing sounds like a damn airplane taking off. Um, but yeah, so I guess my real I guess a couple part question. Obviously, overheating's no good. But with these kind of, we talked last week about how Xbox is kind of starting to trickle out some news. Do you like that we're getting news kind of secondhand from these streamers? Would you rather hear it from Xbox, or do you not really care? I guess we'll start there.
What's the stupid hypocritical comment that Wall Street Journal has as their slogan? Democracy dies in the darkness. I'm glad to have alternative news sources to be telling the truth,
Mhm.
but it's more important, I guess, for me to have multiple people corroborating it. So
Okay.
if one person had one bad piece of hardware as a one-off, that's one thing. But if
Right.
multiple people are saying something and Microsoft is yet to say anything or acknowledge it at all, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah. Do you I mean, yes, I do agree with you in the sense that I don't necessarily trust a lot of the journalist stuff that I read now from like the major productions. A lot of the game reviews that I follow are smaller, more independent channels, I guess, that haven't been swallowed up by the whole corporate greed or whatever you want to call it. And I wouldn't expect Microsoft to come out and say, "Oh, guys, our console overheats like it's insane. It's so much fire. It's like burning up." I wouldn't expect them to like trash their own product. It's just interesting to me that they've put such regulations on, like, we haven't seen anything about Red Dead Redemption 2 or Elder Scrolls Online or Grand Theft Auto 5 benchmark. So they're clearly like telling these people, don't talk about this, or this. It's kind of surprising that this news is starting to leak out. Either they didn't realize it or they don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it to be. But I think it spins a weird narrative, though, right? I mean, people are kind of bad mouthing this thing and it's not even out yet.
That is kind of weird. But if it's a legitimate problem, I mean, consumers deserve to know about it. It's I guess it's too bad that Microsoft has already made like a couple million of them. if that if that is a genuine problem,
Yeah,
um, Microsoft, in my opinion, needs to get out in front of this and address it,
agreed.
and start up 10 different consoles and let them run the same game or 10 different games and shoot them with infrared lasers and like just an ambient temperature room, set the room temperature to like I don't know, 72 degrees, and then just let these fucking things go, and whatever happens, happens.
Do you remember being a kid? I do. When I was, 30 years ago, I remember being a kid. My first console was in one of those entertainment centers that had the glass door, and you can close the door when you weren't playing it, or when you were playing it. And it wasn't until the 360 that that thing started to fog up, and I was like, wait a minute. Because when you're a little kid in your Nintendo, that thing will run, it's fine. But as they got more into graphics processing and stuff, like I remember that glass door was like steam, like
Yeah.
had condensation on it. That probably didn't help the red ring of death either. But that was the first console. There's no excuse on the second one. Yeah, that's I guess that's really kind of what I'm getting at, and this kind of ties into the second story. But to keep it on Xbox for a minute, I feel like we are the way that media and the way that advertising is starting to come out. Phil Spencer said, "Hey, we weren't really ready to announce the Xbox yet, but it kind of leaked, so we had to." Um, I feel like we're starting to see a lot more reactive advertising. Things are coming out significantly quicker, as we're used to have like a really big marketing campaign, and that was the company line through the whole life cycle of a product. It
Mhm.
seems now it's more reactive, and I'm curious as to why Microsoft is not jumping on. I'm not saying the overheat thing. Maybe that's not a big deal, but like I feel like they should be more active in this. If you're going to be reactive, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I don't know, because do we want some big overbearing message being shoved down our throats? I mean, is it admirable that they're like, hey, there's test units out there, and the people in the community that the overall community trusts are going to give their feedback, and
Right.
that's great? Or do we want this giant X in the air just like looming down over us, like you will review? I don't know. I don't know.
I
So I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that one.
Well, and I'm not picking on it either way. I mean, clearly they gave enough of these things out. So it's not like, they didn't know what was going to happen. They
Mm-mm.
clearly gave them out to build up media. Everybody's got their own pockets of, people they follow. You might like this reviewer, but you've never heard of this one. So they are doing this social advertising. So I guess I get it. But at the same time, I feel like if the message is starting to go the wrong way, I feel like they need to step in and be like, wait, guys, no, 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 no. Like, you guys are wrong, and here's why.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. The only thing that I can think of that Microsoft fucked up is when they were sending out the test units, they forgot to send out two. So there's two people that got left off the list that didn't get to review them. That could possibly add some insight to
Are
this.
you telling me after 20 plus episodes of me shitting on the Xbox, they were like, yo, bro, we're going to win you over?
You know whose opinion we suddenly care about? Jim's.
I mean, I'm wearing a Halo shirt. I don't know if you can see my microphone's covered. I'm wearing the Master Chief shirt. I'm repping, bro. I got Sea of Thieves
Oh,
behind me. I got not one, but two Xbox controllers on my desk. So I mean, I'm Mr. Xbox today, bro. Like, let's go.
I know you've been
Um,
awfully pro Xbox in our private text messages recently. We all thought that I was going to be the traitor, but it's you who's mentally jumped ship.
how many people raise your hand if you have an Xbox on pre-order right now?
I
Raise
thought
your
you
hand.
canceled it.
Raise your hand if you have two Xboxes on pre-order right now. I'm gonna cancel them. Unless you want it, I don't want it. I just wanted to see if I could do it. I need to cancel it. So Rachel made a spreadsheet. Let me pull it up. Let me tell you here. Hold on. You're gonna laugh at this. Rachel made a spreadsheet. I asked her to, and she was very sweet and made one for me, and it was very nice of her. Of everything we've pre-ordered since this began. Includes the multiple copies of consoles, and collector editions in preparation for the new generation, and including both Xbox Series X's, one from Best Buy and one from Amazon. We need to do some canceling because we're rapidly approaching multiple thousands of dollars here. So it's time to pull the plug on some of these. Now we did duplicates intentionally. I'm sure, like we talked, we got a backup and all that stuff, but I'm not flipping them or anything. I don't want to deal with that crap. But I wanted to see if I could do it, and now it's time. We're getting close to launch, and I do need to let these go back in the wild.
Yeah.
Or do I? No, I am. I'm done. I'm not keeping them. Phil's like texting me later, like, "Bitch, I thought we weren't getting one." I said, "Bitch."
I know. I'm already crafting the nasty, shitty
I
text
know,
message.
right? You lied to me. Yeah. So part two of that, talking about my brand, the awesome Sony. It could say so many things about them. I did a video yesterday talking about how little news I thought they were releasing. Unlike Xbox, they have not released consoles to the wild. We're hearing fourth hand information from random leakers in foreign countries. We're not seeing a lot. We did today, maybe because they heard me, we did today get a video of them tearing down the entire system piece by piece, and they showed off all the technical stuff. I loved it as an electrical guy, electrical engineer. It was cool to me. I like seeing that. I like understanding computer parts. Most people probably didn't watch or don't care. Did you watch it? You probably didn't. You probably don't even care.
No, it was working.
You don't want to know about the liquid metal cooling custom CPU adapter they've put on, or the 120 millimeter bi-directional case fan with dual exhaust ports and heat
No,
sink. And no, okay.
no, because you know what's going to happen? You're going to learn about that stuff and you're going to be like, hey, they did a good job with that. And I'll be like, oh, great. Jim said it's good. I'll fucking move on with my life.
Well, so the thing is, to me, it's really a tale. I mean, it just continues as we've gone through the history of our show, just seeing how Xbox and PlayStation are handling the release and the news and stuff. It's very hard not to hear somebody somewhere, and I say here, I'm talking social media, okay? I'm not going anywhere. Whether it be Reddit, NeoGAF, Reset Era, Facebook. Somebody somewhere is talking about something cool they've seen from Xbox Series X. The load up screen, the controller, how fast the frame rate is on this game. Da, 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 da. On PlayStation, complete crickets.
Well, there's a piece of functionality with their user index or their user interface. I've been hearing whispers on Reddit that this is supposed to be a more socially engaging console, and that
Okay.
there's features for that built into the UI that Sony has not started to talk about yet. And that's probably why they didn't send anything out, because they didn't want leaks. And it's going to be some big piece of news that maybe um, they'll drop right before the consoles go on sale in store, and like the general pieces of equipment that weren't available as like a pre-order quota, the
Right.
general pieces of equipment will go on sale to make sure that they sell out. I don't know. I just know that um, I've changed my mind and I will be getting an Xbox Series X, but I will not be getting it until there's a cool special edition that comes out. So I know that Jim and I we've been discussing this, back and forth. And at first I was like, yeah, I'm going to get them both. I'm going to get them both. I always get them both, and I really don't need to, because I have a brand new Series X, or not Series X. I have a brand new Xbox One X
That sweet
series.
Cyberpunk 2077, man. It's a pretty sexy console.
Yeah, it's getting the job done for me. It can hold me over for 5 or 6 months until a cool special edition Series X comes out. But
So
um,
you think.
yeah, so I'm gonna hold off there. And then at some point I transitioned to never Xbox, no more Xbox, fuck Xbox. But now I've come full circle, just the fucking hypocrite little consumerist that I am.
That's fine. And I wonder, honestly, for me, it was Bethesda that was really my turning point of
Yeah,
where
same,
I kind of changed my thoughts on Xbox's trajectory. But
same.
I got to say that part of me thinks, all this advertising, all this stuff that Xbox is doing, great. However, people have already bought these things. They're sold out everywhere. Both
Yep.
Xbox and PlayStation, they're gone. Maybe there, I don't know how much money is really saved. I don't really deal with that side of things, but maybe it's just like, well, we don't really need to sell it to you because we already did. Like, we don't care if you don't know what it looks like. We might never show you. You might figure it out when you open it for the first time, but you're probably not going to cancel your pre-order before you find out.
Yeah, no, because there's just a bajillion people out there who are just waiting to take that picture or click record on that camera and be like, "Look what the fuck I got!" And have like billions of views or whatever. I might create a YouTube channel just to unbox my 5 PS5. No, no, but yeah, man,
Yeah,
no one's gonna cancel their pre-orders.
yeah, that's I guess what and I really honestly think in a lot of this advertising stuff leading up to this, maybe because of COVID and everybody being at home and everybody kind of breaking off in their social bubbles, you know, I mean, at least from a work perspective, I could say I definitely don't talk to people that I used to talk to. Not because I'm like I don't hate them, but I just like my hallway friends, they kind of faded out in the horizon, and I just stick to like a couple core groups of friends. I would suspect the same's true with gaming, and everybody's kind of like bunkering down with their collective group of friends and their cliques. And, we're all the Xbox team, we're the PlayStation team, we're the whatever. Way up at the top, PC master racers, like the 1%, and then the ultra wide master racers. That's me, like the
I was
one
gonna
of
say
one.
subcomma,
Yes,
subgroup.
yes. Yeah. So I guess my point is I don't really know in this particular environment we live in if advertising really made that much of a difference. It's almost in a sense like the presidential debates. It's like I'm already voting for whoever. I don't really care. I just want to watch it so I could throw popcorn at like the guy I don't like or girl or
Right.
whatever. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Maybe that's just me thinking that, but like I don't really deal with the advertisement stuff in a day, professional life. So I couldn't say, but I mean, you're more of a businessman than me. I mean, what do you think about that?
Marketing definitely works. People say that it's difficult to actually track. if marketing works or not, but it's now in the age of digital marketing. It's not that difficult to track. You ping someone's phone with something, and if they come into the store and make a purchase and the phone gets pinged while they're in the store within such and such, that counts as a return on investment for digital marketing. But um, you know, these people, did the marketing have anything to do with it in this situation? Maybe a little bit, because the marketing campaign is what got the word out that both of these consoles were coming, and that
Yeah.
launched the new console generation and the console wars. And then everything up until now has just been kind of noise. Like, we're just trying to get our hands on the new consoles. You know what I mean? And their marketing, Sony's marketing worked, at least on me, for a little bit there. Like, I had absolutely no interest in an Xbox, and then Xbox, spent $8 billion fucking dollars and
Change your
bought
mind, right?
bought the best developer of video games probably in the history of video games. So um, I don't want to be missing out on Elder Scrolls 6 wherever the fuck. So um, I don't know. I don't know if I answered that adequately, or how you wanted me to answer it, but that's my
No,
ramble.
no, I'm with you. I'm tracking. It's just interesting to me, I guess, as a fan of gaming in general, and reading the book Console Wars, seeing the documentary, knowing the history of how Sega got to be, where Nintendo's at, what they've been up to or not up to. It's just interesting to me that, as we entered into a much more like your home lockdown type environment. People aren't going out, people aren't going to malls, people aren't going to stores. It seems like, obviously, storefront space now isn't as big as it used to be. Not that you would find out about a game for the first time walking to the mall, like going to a GameStop, like, whoa, what is Destiny? Like, everybody knew what it was before it came out. But yeah, it's an interesting time. I mean, it's just an interesting thought that, here we are, a month out from PlayStation 5, and there are still pages of questions we don't know. Pages. And people like me are like counting the seconds until we get one. And I just don't care anymore. I need it. I don't, like, oh, we don't know what the UI looks like. Whatever. I'll figure it out when I open it. And if it
Yeah,
sucks, oh well.
exactly. Yep.
So it's interesting times. Um, so I have to see, I guess. But I'm definitely, I guess, to close this part, I would say I'm definitely with you in terms of Xbox has done enough now, not just through their own advertising, not just through Bethesda, but all of this stuff I'm reading from all these other people, that I was soundly, I hate Xbox, and now I'm like, okay, I'll see you guys in a year.
Yeah. 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 It won't be a year either. Give it. It'll be next year for sure. But I'm guessing within Q1 of 2021, you and I will both be in possession of something cool.
Did you see today that Amazon listed the art of Halo Infinite with a release date of my birthday, June 29th?
Oh my God, next June? That's a little too late, my guy. That's
When do you think Halo Infinite's coming out?
I
I was
figured
thinking
Q1.
2022, dude.
I was figuring Q1, man. It was supposed to be a fucking launch title.
And they shit the bed and they had to hire a bunch of people to fix it. You think they just press up? I mean, I'm not saying a ground up rebuild, but that game got crapped on harder than the Chicago Bears. And as a lifelong Bears fan, I could take some punishment, and I felt bad for Xbox fans because that was brutal.
I didn't see all that. I know that there was like some blocky looking clouds and people were mad about it, and then I didn't hear anything else.
Well, yeah, it's the Halo blog, which I read weekly, by Misplaced Yank and Unishek, both of them who do really good work on the blog. They're very active on Twitter, and they do the community blog stuff. They were extremely apologetic, and they basically said, we're going to be taking some major time on this game. It's going to be on ice for a long time. Microsoft corporate has been more adamant about the 2021 release date, but the actual developers working on the game, like Chris Lee, one of the lead designers, he doesn't seem as optimistic. So
How could they be like, how could they have ever thought that that would have been acceptable?
it's it. Who who would have thought that the Xbox One was an acceptable way. When Don Matrix stood in front of the world and unveiled and had all those horrible sound bites, and that console flopped so hard before it even came out. I don't know who's making these decisions, but clearly they're like, yeah, man, like that game looks good. And they all like, yeah, Halo, let's get in there. Next gen, no one's gonna notice. 4K, ray tracing, whatever. I don't know. Throw a buzzword out there, but yeah, to a trained eye, it didn't look good. So I say take their time. I'd say obviously, if you do the derivative of how long it's gonna take, that shit's busted as hell, bro. It's gonna be a while. But the release date of 20, the reason I pointed that out with the Halo, the book, was typically that launches on or around the console date. June does not have 29 months in it. So it would have been a June 31st, right? Release date. So the fact that they picked the 29th gets me thinking that maybe it's closer to June than we thought. You know, a lot of times they put like December 31st or March 31st. The fact that they brought it back 2 days, that's that little bit of nugget. I'm swimming in. I'm looking around for clues.
I like that. Like Uncle Cracker.
So, moving on to a topic that we briefly talked about last night. And this is our What You Playing segment.
That you're trash.
I want to tell you how much I love how much I love Star Wars Squadrons.
I thought you were going to say how much you love talking shit about me right as the fucking lobby for Call of Duty is going to close, so I cannot respond.
I'm okay.
Talk about.
That is the best part because yes, we play on different platforms. I play on the chosen one, the PlayStation Nation. Phil, I don't know what he was thinking, decided to get it for his Xbox.
We've talked about this a billion times.
And thankfully, the Activision gods have smiled upon Phil and said, okay, loser, come play with the big boys. We will allow you to cross play with us. We don't want to play with you, but we will let you play with us. And it's got built-in voice, which is phenomenal. But for whatever reason, it cuts out during loading screens and transition from any, which I guess is really a loading screen, but any transition from gameplay to the menu or back or any of that stuff. So last night, Phil jumped on. We played a few rounds. We had some fun. We played for, I don't know, maybe an hour. And it was great because Phil had an off game. Now, you're usually pretty good. I will readily admit you're phenomenal. I mean, I nicknamed you 50 cal. I didn't just make that up for fun. I think you're a really good shot. But you had an off game. It happens.
I did. I fucked up bad.
It's okay, bro. You had an off game. And the shit I talked to you right as the mic goes the best. Because at the end of the game, you know, it opens up comms so you can talk with enemy and friend.
Yeah.
So we're all like laughing and having fun, and then I'm like, yeah, but my teammate's a piece of shit, and then it just cuts out.
Yeah, we were playing against like a whole clan. There was an entire clan on the other side,
Oh my God.
and we beat them by 1 point at the last second. And they're like, they were so humble about it. They're like, GG's guys, we fucked that up. GG's. And so we're getting along great. And then right at the end, you fucking sandbagged me. And it was so legitimately funny. I couldn't even be mad. I was laughing.
It was very funny.
It was good. It's good. You did good, Jim. You did good.
Thank you.
Tell me about Star Wars Squadrons, you sandbagging son of a bitch.
So I am going to give you the ultimate appeal for virtual reality. Some fun facts for you. Virtual reality gamers, which I'm not going to really count myself in that clique. I do dabble with it, but it's definitely not my go-to platform of choice. They refer to people who play non-virtual reality, as in just your normal television like you've been doing your whole life. You are referred to as a pancake gamer. Did you know that?
No.
And it's like a slur. It's like, oh, you filthy pancake gamer, you piece of shit. Like,
is that the best that those idiots could come up with?
It's just your pancake gaming, baby. I don't know. I
can't.
Look
at me and my ridiculous face mask.
I was gonna bring my headset down, but with my glasses and my headphones, it would have been a production. But yes, you do look like a complete goober when you're wearing a headset. But I have to say, when I got virtual reality, it was a whim. So most of the things I buy are. It was Black Friday, and Rachel found a deal with a bundle of a game called Farpoint, which had a gun. It's got like a gun attachment and the gun and everything, and it was like $150 off. So I was like, yeah, let's get it. Let's try it out. And I immediately fell in love with Skyrim, of all games, actually, which I think that was the fifth time I bought Skyrim. I lost count. And yeah, I think putting on the headset, being in the world, walking around, when you're taking quests, when you're fighting people, when you're looking around, you are legit in the world. I can't put it into words. Have you done any VR at all anywhere, like in amusement parks or like works functions? Have you ever used it for anything?
Yeah. Let's just say I've spent a cumulative 2 hours in my entire life playing VR games.
And did it make you dizzy? See, that's the biggest thing, is it throws off your
No,
equilibrium.
it does not make me dizzy. There was this one game. I have a coworker who lives in Buffalo. He covers that half of the state, and we were there at his house before a flight down to our trade show. And he had this game. It had this like there was like this like assault rifle like looking controller, and you're like in space, and there's like giant spiders that you have to kill. And I spent some time playing that,
Was that
and that was really
PlayStation?
interesting. And he what?
Was that PlayStation?
Yes.
That might have
It's
been Farpoint. Yeah, it's like a big
yeah.
long gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what the game was called, but you're basically walking through like cavernous wildernesses out in space,
Yeah.
and there's these giant alien spiders. And he's like, after it's a nifty system, but after 15 or 20 minutes, you have to stop, otherwise you'll get sick. And I was like, okay. So I played for a good 45 minutes until my ears started to get sweaty. I hate that sensation when you have the headset on and your ears get sweaty. So I took it off. He's like, man, I can't believe you didn't get sick. So I guess it doesn't bother me as much as it may bother some other people.
It definitely bothers me if there's a lot of movement. Farpoint is one of those games. The term they use is free locomotion, which is the ability for you to walk freely in any direction. Skyrim has that ability as well. It's actually called free locomotion. And what you do is most VR games teleport you from place to place. You look at something, you press a button, and it fades you gently into that position. It's like fades out, the screen fades out and fades in, so it's not like as jarring as like you're moving. With free locomotion, you freely move in any direction. So you're running, you're jumping, you're crawling, you're whatever. You're physically standing there, but by moving the controls, you're actually moving your character. And that does get incredibly nauseating. So I'm really surprised you were able to distance the two. A lot of times that's hard to do.
Yeah. I often find that I am assisted by the fact that I'm not a fucking bitch.
I often find it's because I'm a real man. Um, well, real man. Some of us are, little bitches, and so for me, virtual reality is kind of devolved in some of my experiences because I do get incredible. Like I tried to play Minecraft the other night, and it made me so nauseous. I took the headset off for 30 seconds, and for the rest of the day, I had a headache, and I just had this VR sickness. I can't really explain it other than I just felt off. I did not feel right. I slept, I woke up, I still felt bad. It took me about 24 hours to get over it. Like, it was really weird.
Jesus, it's like a fucking 8-bit game, dude.
I know, right? So for me, virtual reality is now turned into, for the most part, Skyrim is, I guess, because it's slower paced, it's not as bad, which I thoroughly enjoy. But I need to be sitting down in a game where I'm sitting down. So, like a racing game works phenomenally because even though the car isn't drifting left and right, the frame of the car, you can look at the steering wheel, you can look at your hands on the wheel, you can look at the rear, whatever, the cockpit. It's a distinction for me, and I suspect a lot of people have the same feeling. But it's a distinction for me that I don't get that VR sickness.
Okay.
So I keep trying to come up with the reason or the game that's like, what's the VR seller for this? What's the reason you need to get a VR system? And I really think Elder Scrolls Skyrim is really a good choice. it's hard to explain because you're in a VR space, right? If you're looking over to your left or to your right, your character is still physically facing one direction. You typically don't get that free look mechanic as you do in a single player game. Sometimes you can have a toggle button where you can look around, but like in Call of Duty, if you look to the left, your whole body is assumed that you've shifted positions. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in a virtual reality space, your physical presence may still be looking in one way, even if you're tilting your head left or right. And it allows you to do things like pick up materials without looking at them. You know, like you're walking by a bush and you're like, oh, there's Bristleborn or I don't know, Nernroot. I know Nernroot. I could see a Nernroot in front of me. When you walk up to it, you don't have to like walk up to it and like look down and like press pick up. As you're just walking straight, you just kind of hold your arm out. You can't see because I'm off camera, but you just hold your arm out in front of you. And you could like the controller vibrates lightly to let you know something's going on, and you could just pick it up while you're walking.
Yeah.
And that might
Or
not
maybe
seem like a
there
yeah.
was a wolf slightly out of screen and it's now bitten your hand off.
Yes, enemies are the same way. Yeah, you'll hear I mean, you hear it 3D anyway, but like, yeah, you could be shooting fire at like an enemy in front of you and looking to your left. Or you could be drawing a bow and looking to your left or right. It really changes the mechanics of the game, and I don't know how to really explain it other than when you do it, it's just really cool. So jump back now to Star Wars. Playing Star Wars, you're in a TIE fighter, you're in an X-wing, which in of itself, for at least guys like me, is phenomenal. It's like my childhood dream. I want to be like I want to be like Luke Skywalker. I mean, I'm trying to do the Luke Skywalker hair. I'm working on it, getting a long, bullish haircut. The beard is the only difference.
Gotta get a haircut, man. You
No
gotta
way.
get trimmed up.
No way, bro. No way, bro. Here, I'm gonna part it here. There we go. So
Please tell me you're not gonna stay like this forever.
forever. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Listen, we don't all get to have perms like you, Philip. Okay.
No. You're such a handsome kid when you trim yourself up, and you look terrible.
What happened to you? You look like a bum. I know. So when I'm playing Star Wars, I'm flying around, and it's the same thing. I'm in my X-wing. I got my hands on the controls, and I'm in a dogfight with a TIE fighter, and it flies over the top of over my ship, right? If I was playing the game normally, I would get this little indicator that says, oh, the enemy is now up here. And it'd be like at the top of the screen. And you have like a little reticle that would move around and it would like be on the perimeter of the screen. It still does that in VR, but in VR, if he's up above you, you can pull back on your stick with the control stick and look up through the glass cockpit and you could still see this dude.
That's wild.
And I don't know, it's one of the coolest feelings because you're looking where you want to be, not what you're looking at now. So if I'm turning the ship, I'm just looking at a dead space. The enemy's above me. I'll be like this, pulling back on the stick or like looking for him to set up an approach. And I've gotten really good at this game. Like the first couple times I play it, I get like 2 or 3 kills. I'm consistently getting 10, 15 kills a match. Consistently. And
That's
I really
awesome.
attribute it to VR.
And that's really intriguing to me because not to be a conceited asshole, but I'm pretty good with games that involve manipulating the controls of vehicles, and that kind of makes me want to. I mean, for the low price of $200,
it's not
you
cheap,
can add
man.
another $200 on top of it.
I was gonna say it's not cheap, man.
PSVR and then a $60 game and whatever accessories you end up needing to play the game properly. But it makes me want one for sure.
It's really something I feel like people need to try to understand, and I get it. It's not for everyone. It's a very costly, expensive piece of technology that works on a very limited number of games. Star Wars can be played in either mode. There are some VR only games like Skyrim VR. You had to buy a special edition of Skyrim. If you didn't have VR, the game would not operate. It's designed for it. So sometimes you get a bonus. Sometimes it's a totally separate SKU, a totally different piece of technology you need to buy.
Yeah.
But even like racing games. Like have you ever played the game Wipeout? It's like a hover kind of car. Looks like something out of the future. I don't know if you ever played that or not. Wipeout's the same thing where I'm driving and I'm looking at my next turn. I'm not looking. I'm still looking through the windshield, but I'm off to maybe 10 o'clock over or 2 o'clock off to the side, as I'm getting ready to make a turn because I'm looking at what the turn is instead of just what's in front of me.
Yeah.
It's cool, man.
I bet. I believe it. It sounds awesome.
So that's, I guess that's, to me, I was trying to think of like, what is the definitive experience? I think you got both spectrums. I think you got the Skyrim one where you're laying, your head's on the block, the dragon lands, and you're looking up in the air at this dragon, and it's larger than life. Everything's vibrating. It's loud. It's scary. It's intense. There's that fantasy element of it. Walking through a castle, walking through the Companions Guild. You're walking down underneath their, they got like they live in like a underground bunker kind of deal. Like you're walking under there, like looking up at the ceiling, seeing the rug beneath your feet. There's that experience. And then there's this kind of like I guess, racing experience where you have much more situational awareness. And I dig it, man. So if that isn't, for people watching, I'm not saying you're just going to run. Oh my God, Jim said run out and buy a VR. Like I'm going to buy one. But I think if you're a fan of those kind of moments and you have the extra money to spend, I think that's the big point. I think PlayStation VR with some of those games, I think definitely are experiences you will never get anywhere else.
Yeah, no. What Jim wants you to do is run out and buy a PlayStation VR
Right
and
now.
get Star Wars Squadrons, all
Yes.
right? And then get good at it, and then find his gamer tag, his PSN, and follow him around and just troll the shit out of him. Make sure he does not have any fun playing this game. You heard it here. Go do it.
So for all those watching, and I will say we had 6 comments on the last video. I think we had 85 views.
Wow.
You know that I am always available at Viper Magic. You could find me. You could hunt me down. I dare you. I dare you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that I go by the call sign Gravy Boat Actual, and I will role play the entire level as like, this is Gravy Boat Actual. Come in, over. Like I role play. Even when I'm about to die, I scream, and then I mute the mic. So it's like I cut out. I'm really into it, dude.
That's lame as fuck, dude.
It's fun, bro. Listen, I'm laughing, and here's the best part about it, man. I'm laughing about it, and I'm still kicking everyone's ass. So I'm not just the troll who's like 0-14. I'm like, come at me, bitch. Like I'm taking out multiple people. I'm zipping in and out of asteroids. I'm blowing everything up, and I'm like, this is Gravy Boat Actual.
Come in, Gravy Boat Actual. Come in. Gravy Boat Actual is probably the coolest name I've ever heard for a starship captain.
I'll make you one. When I assume this thing will be forward compatible, I hope. And if you get it for PlayStation 5, we'll throw it down.
Okay.
I'll wear my VR headset though, and I will really get into it. You may hear me breathing heavily. I don't know. Who knows what'll
Like
happen.
you've been eating too much gravy.
It's great.
It's
You are
fitting
what
on
you
so many levels.
It is good. I have to do a shorter show today because I have some work stuff I have to do. Yes, at 6:00 at night. Some of us still work. But before we go, I wanted to hear from you, sir. Tell me about what's going on in the Just Cause land, because I know that's kind of your like side pet project.
Yeah, my bullets don't do much damage, but the enemy's NPC bullets, they do a lot of damage. It's when I started the game, I felt invincible. Like I'd get shot 9 times and it was fine. And now I've changed nothing. I haven't changed the way I play. 3 bullets and I'm fucking dead. I don't know what's going on. It's getting progressively more and more challenging, which is fine. But I've also come to the point where I didn't understand the system of like advancing lines forward and how critical it is to have reserves of troops to do things.
Right.
And now I've gotten to the point where there's no missions. There's no primary missions available. They're all locked. There's no secondary missions available. They're all locked. So I cannot move forward until I go back to all the bases I've defeated and blown up all the red infrastructure pieces and get like troop points. And so I don't want to do that. So I'm kind of like arguing myself about whether or not I want to even keep playing this fucking game or move on to a different game.
It's very grindy. I do recall playing and thinking to myself how grindy it was. And a lot of unnecessary gating that really doesn't make you stronger or better or smarter or skill points. It's just do it because we made it, I guess. Like we're gonna make you enjoy our game, kind of thing. I don't
Yeah.
know. I agree with you though. It's towards the end there, you're like, oh my god, you got to liberate like an entire country. You got to blow up every statue, every whatever you got to do, and it's like, wait till you get to the end and you see the conclusion of the story, and you're gonna just be like, really? And that's it. You're gonna lower your head in your hands. You're gonna be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I think if there is a Just Cause 5, which maybe they're working on it, I'm not currently aware of it. If there is a Just Cause 5, it has to be co op because that's really
Yeah.
the only way I think most people who slog through the first four will even remotely consider jumping back in.
Yeah, and they like changed the feel of the game from 3 to 4. 3 was like kind of silly and lighthearted and
Yeah.
actually like fun in a nice, bright, vibrant environment. And 4 is like, this is serious now. We changed Rico's voice actor. You have to take everything seriously. Everything
Right.
fucking kills you. And by the way, the storm is like the fucking island's infested with storms and it's always dark. And it's just like, this is terrible.
They got some weird tech in that game. I think it's built off the same engine or partially of the same engine of Tomb Raider. Which did you play all the recent Tomb Raiders, Shadow of the Tomb, all those like the three new trilogy? They really hyped up this environmental system with like dynamic snow and rain and particle effects. And I think like the guys at Just Cause were like, "Hey, can we have that?" And they're like, "Now it's the whole game."
I hope you like being struck by lightning because that happens a lot.
All the damn time. Yeah, lots of thunderstorms and lots of environmental stuff, and we are gonna just kill you to death with explosions and barrels and such. So, your homework for this weekend, sir, and then we're gonna get to your wonderful send off. I hope you've been studying, and this may be a clever ploy to buy you a little bit more time. Your homework this week, sir, is to go buy a PlayStation. No, I'm just kidding. Buy a PlayStation VR, get ready, play, get ready to have fun with Squadrons. Do not, unless it's crossplay, and I don't think it is. I'll check. Do not buy this game on Xbox. Wait until you get it on PlayStation. PlayStation VR 2 is coming at some point in the future. Maybe we can, I don't know. We'll figure something out. But I'm telling you, I see those beautiful little cheeks of yours, your little beard. I could see it poking through a VR headset, sweaty ears and all. You're not going to give two hoots when you are flying with the ace top dog Gravy Boat Actual.
I can't wait to come in and play one round to be better than you.
You might be. It's funny that like it reminds me of like Halo when we were playing Halo together. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna kill you now, and then I still couldn't. Or even more humiliating, I say nothing and I still can't get it done. The one time I somehow spawned with rockets and I killed you like 40 times in a row was probably the best moment ever. But for
That
the
was
most
miserable.
part, I don't get the job done, and it's funny. It's not funny, but it's funny. You know what I mean? It's funny in a like aw shucks kind of way, but it's
Yeah.
also like I hate myself.
Why am I so trash at this?
So that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I have created a very special template we now commonly refer to as Phil's Farewell. And sir, you have the floor. Bye for me. I love you. And Phil is going to take us home. So, sir, it's over to you.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us this week. Jim said we had like 85 views on our last video, which is fantastic. Thank you so much. Keep the comments coming, keep the likes coming. We really appreciate all the support that we've built up over the last few weeks. And just like our love for you is undying, or we have an undying love for you, I should say, that will never change. War also never changes. Thanks for joining us, guys.